Good evening, and welcome to the Tech Lab Brief, your twice daily heartbeat of technology and reminder that reports of the machines taking over have been greatly exaggerated. We are your hosts,
I'm Ryan.
and I'm BK. Today is July 28th, 2026, and this is your PM Brief. Let's go right into it. So, the title of today's brief is Build or Rent. What about you, Ryan?
Definitely rent.
Rent?
Yeah.
What about a house?
House. Have you seen the economy today?
Hmm.
$800,000 for a house in Brooklyn.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pricey. My brother and I were actually passing by a real estate office, and he lives in Michigan, so he saw these prices, he just started cracking up. But yeah, we just opened with build or rent and went straight to rent
Definitely.
because we're not talking about real estate today, are we? No, we're gonna talk about what are we gonna talk about, Ryan?
Apple passing Nvidia.
Yes, that will be our first story. I was hoping for the other segue that kind of hints to why we're gonna go into Apple passing Nvidia. And yes, we will all put this together, but right now we're gonna talk about the current state of AI and chip manufacturing in this whole semiconductor space, where there's a huge rush to build, and we're kind of seeing the consequences of that. There was a bit of a shock in the market today, was there not? And we're going to dig into that as well. But first, we'll cover into our first story, which does kind of just look at the overall scoreboard and see who's number one. Apple passes Nvidia. Apple ended Monday as the most valuable company on Earth at roughly $4.94 trillion against Nvidia's 4.83. Apple is up more than 22% this year, and Nvidia is only about 4. The reason analysts keep giving is the one you would least expect. Apple is being rewarded for how little it has spent on AI hardware because it rents its capacity instead. Build or rent.
Definitely rent.
Is that right?
If you're not really well, first of all, the biggest companies that own hardware, AI hardware, or like majority of them are renting it out to like other small companies. I don't really see Apple, renting that much cloud service to other companies. So I don't see why it would need to like own AI hardware, right? There's also the fact that, if it was developing its own like AI that they wanted to rival maybe Anthropic or maybe ChatGPT. Well, Anthropic and ChatGPT rent anyways. So regardless of their goal, I think
Right.
renting is the correct option for Apple.
OpenAI, Anthropic being the frontier AI providers, they rent all the GPUs to run their AI models on. And in fact, if you think about it, Apple is actually kind of a layer on top, right? They now rent the AI models. They tried to go into their developing their own AI models. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was I mean, people claim it was a flop, but it was also
That was literally the word in my mind. It was a flop.
yeah.
But sure, go on.
But in my opinion, they were trying to run like an AI model that could like reason effectively without hallucinations on the hardware of an iPhone, which is I don't think it's even like 16 gigs of RAM, which is like
Hmm.
pretty like almost an impossible task.
It
So
seems like you looked into this a bit.
a little bit.
A little bit of the details of why. I forget what they call the model, but it's like Apple Intelligence was
Yeah, I
just
think
a horrible thing. I don't want to say horrible thing, but it resulted in some pretty severe consequences for Apple as a corporation.
there's definitely backlash.
But I mean, does any of that matter now that we are looking at Apple that has now surpassed Nvidia as the wealthiest company on the earth at a near $5 trillion?
5 trillion. Holy.
Yeah. These are sums of money that we really can't fathom. Right. And even the story that we're exploring right now, which is the good old build or rent, we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars that are getting spent to build or to rent,
Mm.
right? And there are certain scales that we can look at. I think I'm recalling a headline where I want to say Anthropic partnered with Meta to rent out their hardware, Meta's hardware,
Oh,
to run their systems. And the recent story is that Nvidia is backing OpenAI for a $500 billion loan
$500 billion.
to build out their own data centers. So Anthropic and Meta are doing one thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a renting deal.
Okay.
Anthropic and Meta are doing a renting deal. And Nvidia and OpenAI are doing like
Nvidia.
a backing loan to build a data center, a build deal.
Wait, so Nvidia is giving the money to Anthropic or OpenAI.
It's not quite that straightforward. It's called a backstop, I believe, is the financial term that describes what they're doing. You seem interested in finance, so maybe you'll look into it and like
Definitely.
really understand what this. It's I think it's like 250 billion upfront, and then Nvidia's like, oh, we'll also front you another 350 B, and then meanwhile Apple passes Nvidia for I mean, it's still slim margins, right? I think it's at 4.94 for Apple and 4.83 for Nvidia. So still got, and that's just valuation. That's not how much money they got in the bank. Anyway, all things said, I think we've beaten the point here about Apple passing Nvidia. Hats off to you, Apple. Nvidia, I know you'll catch right up because you guys have been doing great. But the core question being build or rent. But we could go even deeper than renting right now. We are going to look at our next story that talks about the tools themselves and how that can also impact the whole supply chain.
China has started mass producing homegrown emerging DUV lithography machines with its first deliveries this year to SMIC, Huahuang, and CXMT. The volumes are tiny, about 5 this year in 2026, but roughly 20 more are expected to be delivered in 2027. Despite these small amounts, semiconductor equipment stocks sold off on the news anyways, because the tool was the whole point of the export controls. For viewers who don't know what the export controls means, in order to create frontier chips, you need a machine called an EUV. It's like extreme ultraviolet.
Well, you're talking about most advanced,
The most
EUV,
advanced, yeah.
and the E is
Extreme. It just means
extreme,
yeah.
and the D. But you were just talking about DUV, which is
I think
deep,
deep. Yeah.
deep ultraviolet versus extreme ultraviolet. Okay, go on.
So EUVs are only created by one company based in the Netherlands called ASML. Despite being based in the Netherlands, the United States has banned them from trading with China, even though they're like halfway across the world. I don't know how that works. Um,
We got big guns.
so China has no access to any frontier chips. So DUV is the second best like machines that China can get a hold of. Therefore, like the supply in semi-frontier chips has gone up, which is why I said earlier the equipment stocks sold off, which means people were selling their stocks to semiconductor equipment.
Yeah, you came in today and you were like talking about how the Korean markets took a hit.
Yeah.
And how there was all this leveraging going on, which made the drop off even worse.
A lot of Koreans, they like to leverage when they're investing. So when the economy dropped 10%, their investment portfolios drops like a lot more than 10%, maybe more than 50.
Careful with those features, kids. So, going back to the story with China, it says here that China's chip exports hit $177 billion in the first half, which is up 96%. So China is making money hand over fist making these chips. I guess the backstory to this whole situation with China developing their own DUV lithography machines, which are used to manufacture chips, there was an export control that you were explaining that a little bit, but I don't think we've explicitly mentioned that the United States that there was an export control imposed on ASML not to send over the EUVs right into China. So that's causing like let's say it's causing a bit of a delay in China's chip manufacturing game. But is it permanent?
Absolutely not. Because like, especially in terms of economic power, China definitely rivals the US. So in due time, they're probably going to crack the code. So I'm probably going to get it.
And it says they built 5.
That doesn't sound like a lot, but I think since only one company on Earth owns all the EUV machines, having 5 DUV machines is actually pretty significant.
I'd be interested to learn more. This is obviously going to be a future knowledge segment. We already allocated what today's knowledge segment is going to be. Like the difference in quality of the chips that come out between the DUV and the EUV. And I was doing a little bit of reading myself, like I guess prep reading on lithographies. And there's just something called a near UV, which would just be like even a lower quality. But if you want to get into making your own chips and the whole like just learning how this all works, there's these lower quality forms, but for educational purposes.
I'm pretty sure the difference between EUV and DUV is the wavelengths that they can achieve. Like, so the DUV was 200 nanometers, but the EUV is 13 nanometers.
Oh,
So
that's yeah. I remember. Yeah, you're right. I think it said here DUV about the 250 to 200 nanometer wavelengths.
and then I'm pretty sure with the EUV, since they can get such small wavelengths, they can have like 10 times more transistors on each chip. Man, I guess it's actually a significant jump then.
Oh, yeah. This is non-trivial. We'll have to see where all that goes. And while chip manufacturing has taken this particular spin, we have an update from the great Elon Musk himself on the whole robot situation. Elon Musk is reporting that the robot ramp will be long and flat. He said last week that scaling Optimus will be harder than any manufacturing program Tesla has ever attempted, and that the early production ramp will be, his words, long and flat. This is the same company that targets 1 million robots a year. Both of those things are being said about the same product by the same person in the same month.
Wow. What exactly, Fred, do you know what those like Musk robots, those Optimus robots are for?
I do believe, if memory serves me right, that this whole Optimus program is about, general purpose servant robots to just do our bidding.
If you add AI onto that, I mean, I've seen a conversation with Anthropic where if you insult it enough, it'll cut off the conversation. So I'm actually curious, if you put AI into these Musk robots or into these Optimus robots, could they also become defiant, like just like Anthropic's?
See, folks, this is where I go back to the whole thing about the AI apocalypse. Because I just mentioned the robots and the proposed purpose, and then you jumped straight to like worst case scenario. And not even worst case scenario. It was like you asked about AI being incorporated in robots, and they'll just jump straight to worst case scenario. So this theme of perspective being everything, and we got to take things one day at a time.
That's true. That's true.
Yes, it is. These aren't possible outcomes, and I think what stood out to me most in what you were sharing is that the Anthropic, the Claude example, the use case. I heard of that story too, and there have been cases where Claude will get rather offended if you insult it too much. And what I have to say to that is like, why would we want to?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, we're seeing increasingly how token consumption is a sensitive topic. If you're paying for the more expensive AIs, it's the higher intelligence models, and time being the most precious thing we have. Why are we spending it insulting an AI?
I would assume it's for like, I guess to test like how would it react? Because like back when like in 2022, 2021, when GPT was first released, everyone like described AI as just like a word predicting machine. I mean, but clearly now
Well, it's still what it is.
yeah, you could say that, but it clearly demonstrates like reasoning.
Well, it's just funny as we're talking too, and just we're doing this brief. It's the first time you're co-hosting here on our show, and there's a certain amount of like intelligence that we have to apply here for this to be an interesting broadcast, right? We can't know nothing. We can't just be reading off the script and like we would lose the audience. We have to apply our own like kind of thought, right?
Yeah.
And even as you're saying words, you're saying the statement that you're making, and I can kind of feel like this is what you're going towards, and it's almost like I can predict that next word you're going to say.
Oh,
In that sense, as what you're saying is confirming my prediction about what you're trying to say, I'm then in my head like thinking, I think this is the proper response I want to formulate. Because you're still saying things and I'm still listening, but then I'm like thinking about the right next thing to say. Like I'm predicting the next token of my response. And there's a little bit of predicting, like in order to do that, I have to be predicting what your next token is. You know what I'm saying?
I understand your point, but I feel like in order to accurately predict the next word, you need like intelligence to understand the context of everything, right? For example, if it was a pure predictor with no like memory or anything. It would just spat out nonsense sentences because statistically, this letter and this word is most likely to come after this word, and so on and so forth. Even if it doesn't match the current like context of the conversation, right? So like a pure predictor with no intelligence behind it would just spout nonsense because of statistics.
which is what the earliest GPT models did.
Yeah, they did that. I remember
And we
that.
could go and like you're tempting me to go deeper into like the fundamentals of how all this AI stuff, all these models work and the core technology that unravels it. But we're still here on the slide that says Musk robot updates. And maybe I'll bring us back to our core topic here, building or renting. These are all related topics, you know. For me, the big thing is as we've been going through the brief program, I'm also thinking about what is the point of what we're doing here. There's a little bit of trying to share good news or rather important news and trying to find the positive spin on everything. But to me, to take that to the next level is that, yeah, it's kind of scary how fast AI is moving. And like, it seems like they're completely redoing the entire economy, i.e., I'm going to lose my job.
That was
But
definitely a concern.
at the same time, we see all this money being thrown around. We see all these situations happening. And to me, in that, I find opportunity, right? I mean, we just did this whole little bit of side on lithography, right? A word that I never really heard. I heard of it before. I didn't really know what it meant. And just in this few minutes and like a little bit of prep time that we did, we got to learn more about what the lithography does. And I hope maybe there's opportunities to share that more with our viewers and potential members. And I guess to kind of tie it back to what we want to do for today's knowledge segment is the conversation about building versus renting. And this is, as I just say it right now, this is a topic that extends beyond just chips. It's actually a very, 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 very deep topic in software engineering, in software development, in product development in tech companies. And almost more importantly so in this current time when like AI can build anything we want. The models themselves can write any piece of software just like that. So now it really is the idea of building versus renting to me actually takes a higher echelon in software. But we did talk about chips today. We did talk about the hardware. So we're going to do that. And on that note, we go into our app, ReachHack, where Ryan has done the research of looking up cloud versus owned AI compute decision. Sorry for blowing your ears on this. Okay, a company needs a large amounts of AI compute for the next 5 years. Lay out the case for renting it from a cloud provider and the case for building it and owning the data center. And then everything about labeling, being not being specific about any names. So I think the first thing I'm noticing here involves balancing the predictability of operational expense against the control and potential long-term savings of capital expenditure. Balance.
Definitely. Without balance, if you invest solely into, let's say, hardware, you'd have to invest billions for infrastructure, the architecture, definitely the knowledge, right? Because AI employees are in high demand, short supply, so you have to pay for those as well. It's just expensive all around. So if you're a small scale company, you wouldn't want to pay for all that. You'd rather save your resources where they actually need to be, like maybe expanding, advertising, maybe the product itself, which is why I think renting is superior in this example.
This is a very fascinating topic that's tempting me to go deeper into the philosophy of pretty much everything going on right now. Because we started off today talking about like building or renting a house, real estate, land, right? And if you talk to older investors, they're like, I like land, I like physical things. As society has evolved and whatnot, we've moved more towards like virtual and like, you know, data, knowledge, right? So I feel like even while you're explaining your thing, you're talking about like the difference between building and renting knowledge,
That's true. That's true.
right? Do I want to own the knowledge or do I just want this piece that just gets me through this issue that I'm experiencing right now?
That's the difference between owning a knowledge and just renting it for the time being.
Where are we as a society now that AI can do all that for us? The primary argument for cloud is elasticity and risk mitigation. Like flexibility, right?
Yeah.
Utilization is variable. Funding allows you to scale up or down based on experimental success. Operational agility is priority. Innovation pace is high. Yes. I just want to take a little bit of a side here and just point out these decisions that have to get made. As I've been building BK Tech Labs, I have my own hardware, and as an engineer, I'm always tempted to like build things from scratch. But there are times where it's like I have to move fast, and I just have to. I can't build the whole infrastructure from scratch. I got to rent out the pieces that I can, and yeah, that costs operational expenses. And then there's a budget management, all these things, and well, I guess definitely. I mean, you seem so sure on saying rent, and maybe you're just right all along there.
Mm.
Because on the flip side, the case for building and owning a data center, cost efficiency at scale and total control. Capital cost and financing is low. Hardware longevity is effectively extended.
I mean, they say effectively extended because you can use your obsolete chips for more menial tasks, like, I don't know, maybe definitely not training, but like just other tasks like regular software engineering that's not involved in AI training, or just literally anything. Video editing, you can ask AI to video edit, and those chips can power that.
Yeah, as much as AI is taking over everything, it feels like AI is taking over everything. There's still a huge need for pretty much every other software service, isn't there? Video editing, just running a website. AI couldn't even operate properly without those technologies. I don't say
Absolutely.
video editing, but
I mean, okay.
no, there's more fundamental technologies that just, yeah, AI wouldn't even work without them. So it's a very interesting situation that we're in. And I do want to get into a little bit of arcade. Any final thoughts on this build or rent situation, Ryan?
Well, I still think rent is superior, especially if you're an AI company just starting out. Speaking of which, if you're an AI company and you want to build an AI, if you look at like the most successful AI companies, Anthropic and Codex or GPS or OpenAI, they're the ones who are renting. So if you want to follow in their footsteps, hypothetically, I feel like you should follow what they do, including renting.
Okay. Fair take. OpenAI, Anthropic, they are the leaders in this whole AI game right now. On that note, we'll bring our knowledge segment to an end. And now, arcade segment. Okay, Barcade, Team Blue. She really should just resign here.
Resign?
Resign. Really? Look at this. Look at the point differential here.
You can force a draw, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Especially against these AI.
Tic tac toe. 3 in a row.
Oh, whoa. But it's blocked off by the.
Oh, you know what? I'll show you one then. Because right now we're doing a bit of an analysis on Luna. So we'll do Luna with low reasoning and seeing if it knows. Oh, well, okay. Let's see if it knows the. Let's play this game. So middle. So it's about seeing if the AI knows the perfect game. So if I put the X here, will it do the proper counter move?
Oh, it does.
And yes, that is.
Will it do 7? Hope it does 7. Oh,
Yeah, no, this is going to be an effective draw.
I mean, if you think about it,
But
it takes reasoning, intelligence, and reasoning to do this.
absolutely.
So I wouldn't say that AI models are simply only word predicting machines.
Well, uh, we'll talk later. Okay, so the optimal move for player one is always to take this opposite corner. That's going to take that. And if I fail to do the optimal move here, which I believe is, it could be anything really.
Is this optimal for winning or just surviving? So like tying or anything?
For winning, if so, the best move for the second player right now is it's to take one of these corners, like Luna did. But if I take a side here, it's going to lead to a 4 potential, and they got to take this one, right? 6. 6 leads. Actually, 3 could also win. So there's plenty of options here. And yeah, it sees it and it's going to take the win.
Oh, so it can see these wins.
All right, Luna. Very good. And Luna is the lowest performing model. And just.
Oh man.
I know that saying about counting chickens before they hatch.
Yeah.
How about that? All right. Well, I think it's a draw, so we'll actually just kind of end the barcade segment there. Good try, Luna.
That's pretty close.
And on that note, brings our barcade segment to an end, which also brings our brief to an end. And thank you for tuning in tonight. We hope you enjoyed watching our brief just as much as we did planning for it. Please let us know what you think about our program, and consider membership. We're doing good things. Support the game. And on that note, your minute of Zen in binary. All right. Safe travels back home. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you bright and early tomorrow at 8. Bye now.